The two-wheeler sector is accelerating into a rare triple tailwind: lower taxes, lower interest rates, and lower GST. Together, they are fueling the sharpest demand recovery since FY19, led by India's most price-sensitive customers at the entry level. Rural spending is firm, EV share is rising, and festive buying has surprised on the upside. But not every OEM is gaining equally. Hero Moto is strengthening, Eicher is hitting record highs, while Bajaj continues to lose domestic share. And in all this, exports now account for a fifth of the industry sales. Welcome to this week's deep dive. Today, we decode whether this revival is cyclical or a start of a structural uptrend for the India's two-wheeler sector. But first, let's bring in Ashesha to break down the recent trends in the sector.
Well, yes, two-wheeler sales this fiscal are set to surpass pre-COVID levels. That is, they are set to exceed 2018-2019 levels in financial year 25-26. And let's put the facts and figures in front of you. As far as total sales are concerned, that in 25-26 already has surpassed quite a bit as compared to last year. Now stands at about 1,57,000 units, and it is for the full year set to surpass pre-COVID levels of 2018-2019, which was at about 257 lakh units. So clearly that trend is sustainable going forward, and we are set to see that record in this financial year. Let's also put the spotlight on what is leading to this. First, exports as a percentage of two-wheeler sales has been steadily rising over the past few years. So if you look at the 2015-2016 figure, that stood at about 13.1%. It has steadily risen to 16.8% in 2019-2020. About 17.8% in the next calendar and fiscal year, and now we've seen that rise gradually over the next few years as well. From 17.8% in 21-22, it has now risen to nearly 17.6% last financial year, and it is already at about 21% this financial year so far. So clearly, exports as a percentage of two-wheeler sales is seeing a steady surge, and that clearly means that domestic sales as a percentage of industry growth has been declining. So if you look at the figures over the last 5 years, 2016-2017, industry growth was at about 5.2% versus domestic growth at about 6.9%. But after that, the trend has been changing. So for instance, in 2018-19, 8.5% was the industry growth, but domestic growth was only at 4.9%, meaning thereby that export sales as a percentage of total sales has been steadily rising over the last few years. Let's also talk about some other years then, and the recent 4-5 years that we'll put the facts and figures for you on the screen, where in 22-23 industry growth was at 8.3%, but domestic growth was higher than that at about 16.9%. But the trend in the current year has also changed. Total sales, industry growth has been at a solid 13%, with domestic growth at only 8.4%. So clearly, exports as a percentage of sales has been rising over the last few years. So that's the figure in front of you for the last several years, which depicts that export sales has been rising and domestic growth has not been as steady as the export growth. So clearly, two-wheeler sales are set to surpass pre-COVID levels this year, and that's the big change that we are seeing in this financial year.
Welcome to this week's deep dive. Today, we decode whether the revival in the two-wheelers is cyclical or is it a structural uptrend for the sector. Joining me today is Saharsh Damani, who is the CEO of FADA, and Mayur Milak, who is the Senior VP Auto and Aviation at Asian Market Security. Mr. Damani, let me start with you first. We've seen excellent numbers coming from the two-wheeler segment. Do you think that this is a revival of the two-wheeler sector?
I think, first of all, this is a revival of India growth story, because what has happened on 5th August and post that, I think the biggest beneficiary has been the automobile sector. And in that, we are seeing both two-wheelers and passenger vehicles doing extremely well. If you see the numbers which came out in October, we saw a growth of around 52%. Now, this is a mammoth growth. We have not seen such kind of growth in the two-wheeler segment as far as my memory goes. So this is definitely a good revival, a stepping stone, a launch pad which has been created by the government of India in terms of the GST reforms which has been announced. And I'm sure this launch pad will further booster the sales, especially in the two-wheeler segment in the coming months.
November numbers are out. Almost all companies except for Bajaj have posted more than 20% growth on a year-to-year basis. Uh, and I think for the first time, if the trend continues, we will end up FY26 with numbers which will be more than FY18-19. Do you think that this is a sustained growth or is it cyclical in nature?
I think this should be a sustained growth because earlier what used to happen is OEMs and dealers used to come forward and give individual schemes on a monthly basis. But now, because of this straight away reduction of 10% in the GST, and this 10% reduction is here to stay. And therefore, we see this as a structural reform coming in rather than one-off event or one-off an incident. In fact, the month of November is also seeing a decent numbers coming in the two-wheeler segment, and we are seeing around 2.5 million plus sales coming in the month of November again. So this is extremely healthy when compared to last year, because last year the festivities were towards the end of October, and all the registrations had happened in November. And if we do a YOY comparison, even if we are at a break-even level, which is an extremely healthy signal for two back-to-back months of decent numbers coming in from the two-wheeler category.
Mayur, where is the demand coming in from? Is it the entry level which is now coming back into the picture?
So I think you have to read the data in a very different way, I'd say. So let's say to begin with, yes, as Mr. Damani is pointing out, the GST has been a very favorable feature. I think it just comes at the right time. Uh, Came right ahead of the festive season. We've seen a strong festive demand here. We've seen comeback in the entry segment, especially in the two-wheelers. I wouldn't say so for four-wheelers yet, but I think clearly two-wheelers, yes. We've seen Hero deliver robust retails, doing a 10 lakh in October, followed by almost a 8.5 lakh in November. These are huge numbers. But I think if you look at the region wise, so this is where I think while we're claiming that the GST reform has come at a good time, you will see that the bulk of these sales have actually been registered in the Hindi heartland. Now, we haven't seen states like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, or these other states really deliver a very strong growth YOY. But we've seen a very, very strong number coming from the Hindi heartland. I think this is where the edge for somebody like a hero has come forward.
Mr. Damani, do you concur with what Mayur has to say? Means the Hindi heartland is where we are seeing the major demand coming in for two-wheelers?
In fact, yes, I will agree with what Mayur has said. And in the October retail numbers, when FAD had published it, we had specifically said that rural growth is 2 times the growth of urban. So which clearly shows that Bharat of India is performing extremely well. And this is where the major entry level numbers come in from, the segment which is below 125 cc. Bharat is where the numbers come in from, and we have good reasons for why Bharat is performing well. We have seen extremely healthy monsoons coming in. The MSP of the crops are at good rate, and also we are seeing a lot of infrastructure roads getting built in the heartland area. So all these coming together are accumulating into extremely healthy sales in the Bharat market, and also in the entry level category, where new set of customers are coming in, customers who are never seen in the picture, and this is in fact increasing the entire market size for the entry level category.
Hmm. Mayur, interesting point Mr. Damani said, rural growth double the rate of urban. And do you think that's sustainable given the fact that we have had a good, season, a harvest season, and which basically means Q3 is also going to be good from a spending point of view or from a rural demand?
So I think again, I'll have two observations here. One, uh, I think we have to look in the fact that there were Bihar elections and UP elections are coming up next year. So you should expect that, there will be entire focus will be on the rural side from the state governments. I think BJP as a party has done phenomenal when it comes to these states. But having said that, there is also some concern on the cash crops. So while we do expect the regular harvest to be a bumper harvest, whether it is the upcoming one. But I do be a little concerned on the money going in the cash crops. We did have some channel checks which suggested that there was some destruction in soya in Rajasthan MP, and then the cotton in UP, and let's say the grapes or wine industry in Maharashtra. So there are pockets which have done a little, a great bit, but there are certain pockets which have also had their share of concerns due to the unfavorable or the untiming of the monsoons. But I think overall, yes, rural has come up pretty much in line with what we had anticipated. And the bulk of the growth largely can be seen in rural India rather than urban India. I think that flow definitely continues to come from the rural side of the story.
Mayur, how do you look at premiumization as well? Is there enough demand for car vehicles, I mean two-wheelers, which are at a higher end as well?
So I think, for two-wheelers, let's say as an industry, we're trying to look at the growth in that range of 8 to 10%, if you're talking sustainable numbers. But I think if you're talking for four-wheelers, we'd rather plug it down to, anywhere between 5 and 7. I think the pay commission coming in 27, let's say FY28, will definitely have its own booster there. But if you're talking, let's say, 1 year at a time, we believe that with the kind of numbers that are there, I think getting a 5 to 7% growth in the four wheelers it should be an ideal growth. I do not personally believe of a very strong comeback in entry level in four wheelers. I think with the cost escalation that has happened, and the new India that we talk about, we are all about premiumization. Everybody really wants to upgrade. So I'd say that with this GST cut is actually helping, the premium sales more rather than actually getting volumes back. So I'd say that in four wheelers, we are more about value growth rather than volume growth.
So, Damani, are you seeing that shift? Because what Mayur is saying that you may not be seeing much of a demand coming in the entry-level four-wheeler, but that could be, getting transferred to the premium or two-wheeler segment as well.
So I have a slightly different view. See, the month of November, apart from what had gone by in the October, the festive sales, the month of November had 14 to 15 days of wedding days, and we have seen a very unique trend which is coming up in this month. Generally, people who would want to buy a two-wheeler, are not buying two-wheeler in the premium category and are directly using that money as down payment for the passenger vehicle purchase. So this is something which this reduction, GST reduction, has shown that yeah, after reduction of in the passenger vehicle category by around 11%, the price gap between premium bikes, and entry level four-wheelers has reduced. And due to this, many people are now also coming in the passenger vehicle category and buying the entry level vehicles. There are few products in the market which are back to 2019 2020 price point, something which starts around 3.5 lakh rupees ex showroom price. This was way back in 2019 2020. So this category is again seeing a great spike coming in, and we have to see how healthy this purchase drive continues to be, because as of now, entry level category, especially with the likes of Maruti, Tata Motors, and Hyundai, where they have smaller products, these categories are doing extremely well. And when we speak to our members, they say that most of the stock in these categories, which were in the entry variant, they are out of stock. So, which clearly says that demand is coming in and people are upgrading from two-wheelers to passenger vehicle, especially in this price point.